Hello everyone, Reed back here with a Monster Hunter playthrough. Today we're going to be taking on a Nibelshnarf. If you don't know what that is, it's essentially the sand gobel. You'll see. It's one of my favorite monsters, not because it's super fun to fight or anything, but just, I just like, it's like cute, sort of, but also monstrous. I don't know. It's a good monster. I like it a lot. Unfortunately, its armor is not very good, but everything else on it is decent, I guess. I don't know. As you can see, I'm using a longsword. This is the Azeros longsword. This is the same story as the lance in the last video, kind of upgrading it on the side. Personally, I think I'm better at longsword than I am at lance, but I don't know. You can kind of decide for yourself. But yeah, we're in the desert, so I didn't bring cool drinks, but there's cool drinks given to me. And yeah, looks like my game kind of stuttered there a little bit, but excuse me, just got back from classes, and I was thinking about recording this last night. And so here's one little trick about the desert is instead of just eating your cool drink while you're back at base camp, eat it right before you go into like the hot area or while you're like already in there. It just saves like half a minute or a minute or so of you having cool resistance. I don't know, it's just something I've kind of grown to do. But also, and this is another case where this is my first time fighting it, and I keep forgetting that I haven't like fought it before in this game. So I'm like, oh, I wonder if it's right. Usually it spawns in here, but if you haven't like fought it yet, it spawns in. I think was at 10. I can't really read it on my screen. So yeah. So I'm just trying to break these because before it notices you, it's in something similar to that sometimes. And so you can get like a hit off. It is not very important. But if you like don't see it, it can like jump up and bite you, sort of. If that makes any sense. Probably not. Oh well. But yeah, anyways, I'm using a longsword. Longsword and switch axe are very similar to me, in my opinion at least, and also kind of in the way they play. They're both sort of good. Oh well, I'll stop talking for this video. So yeah, that's Nibelshnarf. Sort of just a big old sand platypus thingy. I don't know how to describe it. It just is. But yeah, its main gimmick is it just burrows in sand. So I paintballed it because I don't really know where it travels to. Well, I do know, but I didn't know if it was different in this one. And anyways, as I was saying about longswords, they're very similar to me, like with switch axes. If you don't know how it works, essentially in the third generation of Monster Hunter games, that little bar under my sharpness, once that fills up, it'll sort of start flashing, and then it won't decrease anymore. You can see it sort of decreasing now pretty rapidly. But yeah, once you fill it up, it starts flashing. I don't know if you get an attack boost or not. I'm pretty sure you don't. I think it just doesn't decrease, but after you fill it up, you can do a spirit combo, and it's like a big combo. You'll probably see me do it coming up here really shortly, as soon as I land like 2 more hits and get nailed by this. But yeah, you do that, and then on the last hit, it'll sort of power up that bar and give you an attack boost. You can do that 3 times. It goes from white to yellow to red, and that's sort of your main focus, is to keep that sort of at least at yellow, but red is ideal. But red also decreases really, really quickly. In the second generation, longswords didn't have the spirit combo. It just had like the majority of the moves that it has minus the spirit combo. Like it had the one R move and maybe the other one. It may actually had all three except for the last hit. But anyways, it just had, the thing about it was it had when you looked at the stat screen, it had comparable damage to a greatsword. And so for a lot of newer players, you'd pick that up and you'd see that it's like, oh wow. So what I was trying to do there is, apparently if you like flash bomb it, that was kind of dumb. So yeah, you can see the bars flashing, but apparently if you sonic bomb it when it's sucking in sand like that, you can just sort of stun it or something. I don't know. It's something I've never been able to do. But anyways, shit, what was I talking about? Yeah, second generation, it had comparable damage, like on the stat screen, to a greatsword. So a lot of people would see that and think, oh, a greatsword's just really slow, but this does like the same damage and it can hit a lot faster. So I'm just going to use this. And so they'd use that for a lot of quests, and then after a while it'd start to drop off, or like they wouldn't be doing as much damage as they'd think they'd be doing, something like that. And it would kind of just lead to like, what the hell is going on here? But what really is happening is the damage modifier for the greatsword is much higher on an attack. So like, say the greatsword has, yeah, so here's the spirit combo. And then there, it goes up to white. But people would like see that, or anyways, sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. They would assume, oh, where, I totally lost my train of thought. Wow. Anyways, so I remember now. So the greatsword modifier is like you do 50 damage of like the stat screen damage on an attack, say, whereas with the longsword you do like 15%, but you'd hit a lot more times. I don't know. It's complicated and not something I really know too much about. More than just like what moves are best to do and what moves not to do for like sort of optimal damage efficiency. But anyways, as I was saying like 5 minutes ago, greatsword or longswords and switch axes are very similar to me. They're both sort of relegated to like tail cutting, and so a lot of people, at least the way it used to be, is if you're using a longsword, you just go to the tail and try and cut the tail, because when you're on the tail, or when you do your like spirit combo, you can trip people a lot, and it's really annoying if you have like two people just constantly like stun locking you without really realizing it. And they think they're doing fine, but it's not so much like, it's a per player sort of thing. So you'd have a lot of people like just stun locking people as like a dual sword user would try and hit the legs, but so they're like, oh, just go to the tail, cut that off, that's your job. And that's sort of what it's become. Like, you go to the tail, you cut the tail off, if you're in a group, that is. But in my opinion, at least, I think switch axe is far, far better at cutting a tail than the longsword. Mostly because the longsword's main attacks, there, I got to red but almost died. The longsword's main attacks to like cut a tail would be that up slash there, and the like straight down slash, that one. And you do two of those, maybe a poke, and then like an up slash and try and hit the tail. But the thing about it is, you know, a switch axe can do the up strike, which hits a lot higher, and then the down slash right after that, which I don't know if it does more damage, but it is more, I don't know, it's just better at, I'd say, cutting a tail, if that makes any sense. Probably didn't at all, but it's odd. So, like, if you were to put a team of 4 longsword users against a team of 4 switch axe users, I'd prefer the switch axe over all of that. Mostly because switch axe is far more versatile, in addition to being able to cut a tail incredibly well. So, you can cut the tail with the axe mode, but then say you knock it down, and you're like, okay, well, I don't really, and the tail's off, you're like, okay, I'll just switch to sword mode and do a ton of damage. Whereas a longsword, it's like, oh, I'll do my spirit combo now, but in doing so, you might accidentally trip like a greatsword user who's going for a triple charge on the head. You might trip over a hammer user who's going for the golf swing on the head. Something similar to that. And it's just kind of... It seems really outclassed to me, in my opinion. But I'm not to say it's bad or anything, but I guess a part of that is also I'm much better with the switch axe than I am with a longsword. At least in my opinion. But yeah, it's one of those things that it's odd. It's very odd. So, and in Monster Hunter 4, or sorry, what I wanted to say is another big factor of the longsword is being able to maintain your like spirit combo gauge, that yellow, red, white thing, to keep your damage up. Whereas with a switch axe, you can just focus on the tail all day long without having to do your spirit combo at all. And it's one of those things that kind of... It's odd. Like, it seems to me that you could very, very easily just, go with the switch axe instead of a longsword, and you'd be much better off. Also there, you can see me fish out the Nibelshnarf. It's a trick not a lot of people know how to do. It's one I didn't know how to do for quite a while. But I think longsword shines a lot more in solo play than it does in multiplayer. At least up to like, once you get into 3 people, 4 people, longsword becomes sort of almost like a liability, but people who use a longsword are probably going to be like, no, it's not a liability, blah, 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 blah. But I don't know. It's just, it's more of a personal preference, personally, but that's just my opinion. But yeah. I was gonna say something else about the switch axe and... Oh yeah, anyways, one good thing that they did in Monster Hunter 4 is, like, to allow you to, do a fade slash. It's where you do the jumping slash, essentially, like, you do a wide swing and hop back, hop to the side. You can do that, and you can return to your spirit combo. So, like, you do the 2 hits, fade slash, and then come back in, and you up your spirit gauge, I think. So I'm close to that. I'm not entirely sure how it works, but I think that's how it is. And that's really nice, because it sort of allows you to keep your spirit gauge up while still being relevant, if that makes any sense. But in my opinion, what the longsword really needs is a way to, like, spend its sort of attack up thingies, like the attack up bars. So what I came up with is like a way to just like shoot out like a beam, or not a beam, but like a slash of power or something like that, you know, depending on what level of spirit combo you have. So like you do a fade slash and then you do the same thing, but like shoot it out, you expel all of it and do a ton of damage, sort of like a maybe like a golf swing or a triple charge to the head, something similar to that. And I think that will be a good way to like to kind of prevent overcrowding around like legs and heads and stuff like that. Again, that's just my opinion. Like, kind of saying that now, it seems like it wouldn't really work, but at the same time, I feel like that could benefit the longsword a great deal. Because as it is now, it's almost, I don't know how do you put it, like, it's not very good in my opinion. Just, not to say it's not fun, or to say it's bad, but it's outclassed, I think. And, yeah. You can, you know, go crazy at me in the comments. So there I'm trying to do that sonic bomb thing again. This was a little bit scary, so I didn't get hit by that. But yeah. I mean, maybe it probably doesn't, and I probably just... But, I mean, I guess another thing is, I don't really, like, have the opportunity to play online. Because I have 3U just on my 3DS, and I have a friend who has it, so it's like... It's just the 2 of us that sometimes hunt together, but most of the time it's just me. And this, I'm playing by myself. So it's not like I'm using, sort of, I'm not in a team all that much. So maybe I don't really know how the longsword fits into it, but I don't know. I don't know. That's sort of just my opinion, but I still think it would be really cool if there was a way to sort of attack with the longsword from range, because a lot of its moves just seem so wide sweeping. I mean, I guess mostly the Fade Slash and the Spirit combo are its most like wide moves. And here I'm just checking all my stuff, see what I got. I didn't empty out my Legambi parts. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it doesn't need it. I don't know. It's something I've been thinking about a lot. But at the same time, like, I'll think about like, oh yeah, that'd be great if they had that. But then I'll think again, like, the next day, like, no, that would kind of be really shitty. Like, it would really turn the longsword into less of like a tail cutting or like a niche sort of weapon, or just a straight damage dealer, honestly, to like get your spirit combo as high as you can, and then use the slashy things to deal damage from afar. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so that was Nibelshnarf. If you were watching that at all, well, yeah, you probably were. Who am I kidding? You're watching the video. But yeah, that was that. First monster of the 4 stars, I believe. And here I'm just looking to see how many points I have. But thanks for watching. I don't know what I'm gonna fight next because I haven't recorded the video for it yet. But look forward to it. I'd love to hear your thoughts on my longsword idea, or just your own longsword idea. Sorry about the audio, but yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it.